All right, so this is lesson 9. Like I said before, I think you're going to find this lesson to be easy, for sure. I think everybody's going to be like, I totally understand it. It's just a little long, okay? When I'm done with the lesson, then you guys are going to start working on your test corrections, okay? There are a couple that a lot of you guys missed that we're going to do together, and some of them you guys are going to do on your own, okay? All right, so you guys, I think that sometimes the reason that people think math is difficult is because people make it look difficult, okay? So just listen right here for 2 seconds. If I was adding 4 and 3 together, would it do me any good at all to put parentheses around the 4 and parentheses around the 3? No. And it makes it look more difficult, right? So why would we do that? So look at question number 1. I have this guy right here that I'm adding to that guy right there. If you look at the first set of parentheses, if you look in front of that, there's nothing that I'm distributing, so those parentheses were completely unnecessary. So I'm just going to write it down without the parentheses, okay? Now, everybody in the room tell me, so today I want you to be super interactive with me, okay? Because my other classes kind of fizzled out, and I don't want that to happen. Are the second set of parentheses necessary? Tell me that. No. They're not. So we're just going to go plus 6m plus 4m squared. And now we're going to clean it up. When I say clean it up, it just means add everything together that you can, okay? So this guy has an m squared and that has an m squared. And when I add them together, I'm going to get an m squared. But a negative 4 and a positive 4 actually gives you a 0m squared, which is just nothing. And then you have a negative 6m and a positive 6m, and the same thing happens there. So someone tell me what the answer is here.
0.
It's just 0. Yep. And that's what you highlight and you're done. Okay? Look at question number 2. Are the first set of parentheses on number 2 necessary, everybody?
Yes.
Yes, they are. Tell me with one word what we're going to do right there. Distribute is correct. Good. So 3 times 2 is a 6, a to the third. And then 3 times 5 is 15, c to the second. Okay? Look at the second set of parentheses. Necessary or not necessary? Necessary, right? So distribute the negative 2. And you have negative 8, a to the third. And negative 2 times a negative 6 is a positive. 6 times 2 is 12, c to the second. So this has an a to the third, and this has an a to the third. And when I combine them, you guys, am I going to have an a to the third, or am I going to have an a to the sixth? It stays an a to the third, yeah. And then 6 minus 8 is a negative 2. So those are done. Hey guys, when you do your tests and homework and quizzes, don't do this. Don't like scribble the whole thing out where I can't read underneath. Because if you mess up, then I'm going to look at the line up above. And if you got that right and you just missed that one, then you'll just lose a point. But if I can't read it, then I have to take off more. Okay? So those are done. And then this is a c squared and this is a c squared. So when I add them, I'm going to have a c squared. And then 15 plus 12 is 27. And that's my answer. And I'm done. Okay? Okay, so question 3, I don't even have any parentheses. This guy has 1x and 1y, and that guy has 1x and 1y. The middle guy has 2 x's and 1 y, so I can't add those together. So I'm just going to go 1x, 1y. 15 minus 7 is an 8, so those two are taken care of. And then the guy that couldn't get added to anything, 8 x to the second y, I'm just going to write it down, and that's my answer. What if I wrote it in the other order? What if I wrote 8x to the second y plus 8xy? Is that okay? It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. Okay, question number 4. Okay, don't go ahead of me, okay? Please make sure you just stick right with me, okay? Because whenever we do things, I'm going to give you like little comments and hints and what's expected, what Weber expects you to do in that. Tell me one word that tells me what we're going to do. Distribute. Distribute. So listen what I do. The signs, and then the numbers, and then variable, variable, variable. Get all my variables done. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. Positive times a positive is a positive. 2 times 1 is 2. X to the first times x to the second is x to the, tell me what that is. It is a third. Good. Then cross that guy out. Positive times a negative is a negative. 2 times 1 is 2. X times x is x to the, tell me, second. Yeah? And then positive times a positive is a positive. 3 times 2 is 6. You have an x. Highlight it. Done. That's it. Okay? Okay, question 5. One word. Everybody talk to me.
Distribute.
Okay, distribute. So numbers, pardon me, signs, numbers, variable, 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 all the way down. Positive times positive, positive. 2 times 1 is a 2. The only a you have is 1. And the b's you have 3 and 1 for a total of, talk to me, 4. Positive times negative is a negative. 3 times 2 is 6. A's are 1 and 5 for a total of, tell me, 6. And then your b's are 3 and 1 for a total of 4. That's it. Easy. Okay. Question 6, little bit trickier. People mess up on this often. Okay. Look at question 6 and with one word, tell me the first thing we're going to do. Tell me. Distribute is correct. Okay. So you go 2 times 1 is 2. Y to the third times y to the first is y to the fourth. Then 2y to the third times 7. Well, 2 times 7 is 14. Y to the third. Okay. Now what I'm doing is this. Okay, everybody just sit and listen for a second. Would a correct description of what I'm about to do be that I'm going to distribute? Is that correct? No. If you're distributing, you're multiplying something by many things. This is a monomial, one term, times a monomial, one term. It's kind of like this. Don't write this down. It's kind of like 3 times 5. One thing times one thing. Or 3 times x. One thing times one thing. I'm going to do this 2 different ways. Okay? I'm going to show you the way I think is the easiest. A negative times a positive is a negative. And on the y's, you add your exponents. 2 plus 0 is a 2. And I'm done. That's literally all you have to do. Okay? Here's another way to think about it. Look forward so I can make sure that you're understanding this one. You guys, what is y to the 0 equal to? That's a 1. So it's like you have a negative y squared multiplied by 1, which gives you negative y squared. Okay? However you think about that. Okay, here's question number 7. One word. Give me the word, guys. Distribute. So you go 3 times 1 is 3. On your C's, you have 1 and 5 for a total of, tell me. How many? I can't hear you. 6. Everybody answer me, okay? And then your D's, on that first term, I have how many? 3. Okay, let's do the next one. Positive times a negative is a negative. 3 times 4 is 12. C's, I have how many C's, everybody?
1.
Just 1. And my D's I have, is it 9?
No.
What is it? 6. If I say 9, what did I do? I multiplied and I'm supposed to be adding. Good. Okay, question 8. Now, here's the little bit of the challenging part on this. You guys have learned to do 8 in different ways. Some have you learned this method and some have learned a different method. It's really the same method. If someone asked you to say with one word on number 8 what you're going to do, what would the word be? Foil. Yeah. Many, many, many of you have used the method of foil. That's what I do. Okay, the rest of you, this is what you did. You took the x, multiplied it by the x, and then the x by the negative 6, and then the 4 by the x and the 4 by the negative 6. That's just FOIL. That's all it is. You just think about it different. Okay, so f is x times x, which is x squared. And then outside is x times negative 6. Well, that's a negative 6x. And then inside is 4 times x, that's 4x, and then last is 4 times negative 6, which is a negative 24. Now, I will always add those in my head, and I would love you to get to the point where you can add those in your head so you can move a little quicker. So it's x to the second, a negative 2x and a plus 4x gives me a negative 2x minus 24. That's my answer, and I'm done. Okay? Who says gotcha? Let's see. Okay, great. Question 9. Everybody freeze right here. We're going to talk about this. So don't go ahead of me, okay? Right up above that, I want everybody to write down the word foil. I don't really have to foil. I don't really have to foil. Can someone tell me what's going to happen when I do foil? What's going to happen?
The negative 5 and then the positive 5 are going to cross cross out so you won't have like a middle number?
Yeah, so the outside is negative 5y, inside is positive 5y, negative 5y, positive 5y, those go away. So which of those four letters do I really not have to do because they're just going to go away? F, O, I, or L? Tell me. So she just said, here I'll get a negative 5x, here I'll get a positive 5x. So my question is, which two of those four letters, F, O, I, and L, cancel each other out? Tell me that. The O and the I, right? So I want you to cross out the O and the I. So you don't really have to FOIL, you just have to F and L. Why? Why does that happen? Because those two things are identical, except for the middle sign. What are those called? Do you remember? They are called conjugates. Write that down. C-O-N-G-U-J-A-T-E-S. I think that's how you spell it. So all we have to do is F and L because they are conjugates of each other. So all you have to do, guys, is go y times y is y squared. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25, and that's your answer. Okay? Now, if you went through and did the whole FOIL, the negative 5y and the positive 5y would cancel out. It's not like you miss it, but it sure saves you a lot of time and sometimes a lot of headache. Okay? Okay, here's question number 10. Right up above that, I want you to write the word FOIL, and I want you to stop for just a second. The only time you can FOIL, guys, is if you have a binomial, 2 terms, times a binomial, 2 terms. Okay, so let's FOIL. 2c times c is 2c to the second. Outside, 2c times negative 5 is negative 10c. Inside, 1 times c is c. And then last, 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. And I combine those and I get 2c squared minus 9c minus 5. That's my answer, and I'm done. Okay? Who says this is easy? Raise your hand. Okay, now I want to talk to you about that. Okay? So I have a couple of people drifting, fighting not to fall asleep. And, you're just kind of like, I know how to do this. So who has ever been in a math class, maybe this class, maybe a different class, and your teacher's trying to teach you something? You have no idea what's going on. You're like, I don't understand that at all. Raise your hand. How does that feel? How does that feel? Good or bad? Come on, everybody. Bad. Feels bad, right? So this is a good feeling. Everybody knows what you're doing. The other thing is this. In 1010, I'm just kind of laying a foundation for you to be rock solid and understand everything that you're doing. So then when you go into 1050, then you've got this great foundation and it's just going to be so much better for you. Okay? So sometimes we're going to have easy days and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? If they're all easy, that's bad. Okay, look at question 11. Okay? Don't write anything. I want you to watch me do it. Okay? X to the second is x to the second. A negative to the second is a positive, and 3 to the second is a 9. Is that right? No. I want you to write that down, and then off to the side, I want you to write the word wrong. That is wrong. Someone tell me why that's wrong. What didn't I do?
Didn't expand it.
So what's my first step in doing this problem? First step is pretty important. What do?
You write the x minus 3.
You write it twice, yes. So that's x minus 3 times x minus 3. Everybody in the room, I want you talking to me, okay? What do I do now? One word is all I need from you. FOIL. Let's write the word FOIL. Okay? So x times x is x to the second. Outside is a negative 3x. Inside is a negative 3x. A negative 3x and a negative 3x is a negative 6x. And then a negative 3 times a negative 3 is a positive 9. That's your answer, and you're done. Okay? Question 12. First step. Everybody shout it out. What do I do? Write it twice is what I want you to say. Expand it means multiply it. Okay? Do I just have to do F and L? Tell me that. Do I just do F and L or do I do the whole deal? Why the whole deal? They're not, what's that word? Don't look at the paper. They're not called conjugates. Why aren't they conjugates? The signs are not different. Yep, so you have to do a full-blown FOIL. Okay, so 9y times 9y is 81y to the second. Outside gives you 9y. Inside gives you 9y. 9y plus 9y is 18y. 1 times 1 is 1. Highlight your answer. Done. Okay? Okay, number 13. Don't write anything for a second. Just kick back and watch. Okay? Take my 4c, distribute it in there, and I get 4c to the second plus 20c times c minus 5. Don't say anything for just a second. I took my 4c and I multiplied it by the first parentheses. Is that wrong? Don't answer the question. Is that wrong? Well, if it's wrong, then that means that I've made a mistake somewhere. So have I made a mistake somewhere? I have not made a mistake. If I took the 4c and multiplied it by that and that, then that's wrong. I multiplied by 16c squared because I did 4c twice. It's not wrong, but is it wise? That's the question. I would not do it. I would absolutely not do that. Okay, so I would take that thing that has to be distributed and I would do the distribution at the end. And then I would do what right here? Tell me. One word that tells me. Come on, everybody. FOIL. So right here, I want you to write the word FOIL. But is it really FOIL? What is it? F and L. Why is it F and L? Because they're conjugates. So let's save ourselves some time. So C times C is C to the second. L is a positive 5 times a negative 5, which is a negative 25. Now distribute that 4c. So I have 4c to the third minus 100c. That's my answer, and I'm done. Okay, question 14. Right above that, everybody write the word FOIL. Can I FOIL this thing? Yes or no? Shout it out. Come on, don't be quiet. Can I FOIL it? The answer is no, I cannot FOIL it. Why not? The second I asked, tell me your name, bud. Matt. The second I asked, can I FOIL this? Matt immediately was like, nope, you can't do it. He knew immediately. Matt, tell everybody. Why?
3 terms in the first and 2 in the second.
And what does it have to be?
2 and 2.
2 and 2. So the first parenthesis has too many things in it. It has to be 2 terms times 2 terms. We've got 3 terms times 2 terms. Who says I understand that? Raise your hand. Okay, great. So look what you do. You take this guy, 2y to the second, and you multiply it by the entire second parenthesis. Then do the next one. Take the plus 3y, multiply it by the entire second parenthesis. Do the third one, make sure you're writing with me. Do the third one, multiply it by the whole second parenthesis. Okay? Now I'm going to distribute, distribute, distribute. So 2y to the second times y is 2y to the third. 2y to the second times negative 5 is negative 10y squared. 3y times y is 3y to the second. 3y times negative 5 is negative 15y. Multiplying by a negative 1 changes both of those signs, negative y plus 5. Clean it up. This guy has a y to the third, nobody else does, so that's a 2y to the third. This guy has y squared, this guy has y squared. I write down my y squared. Negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7y squared. This guy has a y, this guy has a y, that's a negative 16y plus 5. That's my answer, and I'm done. Who says easy? Raise your hand. Okay, I want to show you something. See the first line that I wrote, that line right there? If you don't write that line, I'm fine with that. Okay? And I'm going to do another one in a second where I don't write that line, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay? Okay, look at question 15. If you don't know the first step, you're going to miss probably all the points on this problem. Okay? Tell me the first step. Talk to me.
Write it twice.
Write it twice. Good. Everybody go 2x to the second times x plus 3 times x plus 3. You guys, there are about 30 people in this room, so I want 30 voices going when I talk to you, okay, when I ask you a question. What do I do next? FOIL is correct. So I'm going to leave that 2x to the second, and I'm going to FOIL. Is it really a FOIL, or is it just F and L? It really is a FOIL, because the signs are not opposite, right? X times x is x to the second. Outside is a 3x. Inside is a 3x. 3x plus 3x is 6x. Plus 3 times 3 is 9. One word that tells me what to do right now. Tell me. Distribute. So 2x to the second times x to the second, that's 2x to the 4th. 2x to the second times 6x, that's 12x to the 3rd. 9 times 2 is 18. X to the second. Highlight your answer. Done. Piece of cake. Okay? Okay, number 16, and then we're going to change our focus. Look at number 16. The answer is not x to the second minus 8. It is also not or x to the third minus 8. It is also not x to the third plus 8. What do I do? First step, tell me.
Do you write it 3 times?
Write it 3 times, yes. So everybody go x minus 2 times x minus 2 times x minus 2. Everybody in the room, tell me, what should I do now? FOIL. Which ones? It doesn't matter. I always do the back two. I don't know why. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to go x minus 2, and now I'm going to FOIL. So x times x is x to the second. Outside's a negative 2x. Inside's a negative 2x. Negative 2x, negative 2x is negative 4x. Last is a negative 2 times a negative 2 is a positive 4. Is the next correct step to FOIL? Is that correct? Why not? 3 terms in the first one, right? So look what I'm going to do. Take the x and distribute it across the whole thing. I don't have to write that down. I don't have to go x parenthesis minus 2 parenthesis. Let's just do it. Distribute the x, and you get x to the third minus 4x to the second plus 4x. Do the same thing to the negative 2. Distribute it. So you have negative 2x to the second, a plus 8x, and a minus 8, like that. Now let's clean it up. So you have an x to the third, a negative 4x a second, and a negative 2x a second is a negative 6x to the second. A plus 4 and a plus 8 is a plus 12x. And then you have your minus 8, and you're done. Easy. Who says I got it? I am so good with this. Yay. Okay, now we're going to solve inequalities. Okay, so everybody look at that inequality right there. Negative 2x is less than 8. And over to the side somewhere, I want you to squeeze in negative 2x equals 8. Okay, when you see negative 2x is less than 8, I want you to think of it just like an equal sign. It's almost exactly like an equal sign. So look, let's do the equal sign. To solve this, I would divide by a negative 2, and I get x equals negative 4. Done with the problem. Okay, now let's look back at that inequality. To get that x alone, I would divide by a negative 2, and I would get x is, someone shout out, what do I put right here? It is a greater than. This guy right here is called less than. This guy is now greater than. Why did I write that the other way? I divided by a negative. Okay, and then a positive over a negative is a negative, and 8 over 4 is a 2. So they're identical, except if you multiply and divide by a negative, switch it. That's the only difference. Okay, let's go right here to x is greater than or equal to negative 2. I'm going to show you how to graph it, and then we're also going to write it in interval notation. Okay, because that's what we're going to do down below. Okay, watch how simple. Draw your number line. In the center, you have a negative 2. Everybody tell me, is my circle on the negative 2 open, or is it closed? It's closed. Look right here. If it says less than equal to, greater than equal to, your circle will be closed. No equal sign, your circle will be open. Well, I have an equal sign, so my circle is closed. Okay? You tell me, where on that number line are the values bigger than a negative 2? To the right or to the left? Everybody tell me. To the right. If you ever get confused, watch how simple. Look at the symbol. See that symbol? Turn it into an arrow. What way does the arrow point? To the right. Okay? Now let's write it in interval form. Okay? The first thing that you write on interval form is not negative infinity with a parenthesis? Why not? Where are you supposed to start when you do the interval form? You start at the left and you travel to the right. So it goes from left to right. Okay? So the first thing I write is, what number do I put? -2. Tell me how to close my -2. Why with a bracket and not a parenthesis? Because it's closed because I have an equal sign, right? So -2, comma, tell me what to put here. Infinity, close it off. There's your interval form. Okay? All right, let's do question A. Right to the side of it, I want you to write 3x minus 4 equals 2. When you do the problem, I don't want you to make it an equals, but I want you to think of it as an equals. Okay? It works just like an equals, unless I multiply or divide by negative. Step 1, don't go ahead of me, okay? Step 1, what do? Move your 4, okay? So everybody has 3x is less than or equal to, the 4 comes over and becomes a positive, and you have a 6. What do you do now? Divide by 3. So I get x is, should I switch that to a greater than? Why not? Didn't divide by a negative, right? 6 over 2 is, or 6 over 3 is 2. Okay? Now let's graph it. Go to your number line. Make your 2. Everybody in the room tell me, open or closed? Closed is correct. And where are the numbers smaller than 2? To the right or to the left? To the left is correct. Okay? When I write this in interval form, the first thing I write, I go from the left to the right. So what's the first value I'm going to put on that interval form, guys? Talk to me. Negative infinity. And infinity is always with a parenthesis. And it goes to a, tell me everybody, 2 with a, talk to me, bracket. Good. Okay? Okay, question B. I want you to see negative 2x equals 8. Okay? Everybody divide by -2. And you get x is, talk to me. This guy's greater than, so you switch it, right, to less than. Okay? Now, everybody freeze for 2 seconds. Some people think that if you switch it, then when you evaluate the right, you do something weird over there. You don't do anything weird. You just evaluate it. So you go positive over negative is a negative. 8 over 2 is a 4. That's all I got. Okay, so switch it. Okay, draw your number line. Put your -4 in the center. Everybody in the room tell me, open or closed? Open. And which way do I shade, right or left? Left is correct. Okay, so in interval form, on the left to the right is going to be negative infinity with a parenthesis to a -4, pardon me, close with a, tell me. Is that parenthesis or is it bracket? It's a parenthesis. When is it a bracket? If the circle's closed because you have a, tell me, an equal sign. Yeah, the equal sign makes the bracket. No equal sign, parenthesis. Okay, question C. Step 1, shout it out. What do? Move the 3. So you have 5x is greater than or equal to 4. What do you do now? Do you divide by 4 or do you divide by 5? You divide by 5. Should I switch my inequality?
No.
Why not?
Because you're not dividing.
You didn't divide by a negative, so it's 4/5. Now I want you to listen. Does 4/5 reduce to like 2/3 or something like that? No. If it does reduce, you must reduce it, okay? If it's 5 over 4, which it's not, if it's 5 over 4, don't make it 1 1/4. Don't do that. You don't need to, and I think it's going to cause a problem for you. So just reduce them. That's all you have to do, okay? Okay, make your number line. Make a notch. Label it 4/5. Everybody in the room, open or closed? Closed, and right or left, everybody? To the right is correct, okay? And then in interval form would be 4/5 close with a, talk to me, bracket, to infinity, close with a parenthesis, and we're done. Okay? Okay, now they're going to start looking a little bit worse. Just keep following the same steps. Okay? Tell me what you do first. Stay right here with me. What do we do first? Move the 5. Get rid of the 5, right? So you have negative 7x. Switch that guy or don't switch it.
Switch it. Oh,
Did I multiply or divide by a negative? Tell me that. No. So switch it or don't. Don't. So it's a greater than. 5 comes over and becomes a negative, and you get negative 14. Tell me what to do now.
divide by negative.
Divide by negative 14, and you get x is, talk to me. Let's learn the names. I feel like you don't know the names. What's this guy called right here? Greater than. Write that down. Greater than. So then obviously this guy right here is less than. Okay, so know the names. Tell me what to put after my x now. Talk to me. It is less than. A negative 14 over a negative 7 is a positive 2. Easy. Easy. Number line. Put your 2. Open or closed, everybody? Open, right or left? Left. Right? Left. So the answer in interval form is negative infinity to positive 2, close with a, tell me, parenthesis. Okay? Look at E. Getting worse. Left side, one word. Tell me one word what to do. Distribute. So I'm going to have negative 2x plus 10 is less than or equal to. Right hand side, one word. Tell me the word. Distribute again. And you have 5x minus 15 minus 2. Everybody freeze. Right here is so important. Please don't go ahead of me. Okay? If you go ahead of me, you're going to get confused. You're going to think you know. Then you're going to take the next quiz and you're going to miss it. So just stick with me. Okay? Should I start moving things to different sides right now? No, because the right-hand side is not cleaned up, right? So everybody go negative 10x plus 10 is less than or equal to 5x minus 17. Now this is important. Should I get my x's together first, or should I get my constants together first, or does it really matter? I really want you to do one. It technically doesn't matter. But if you don't, I think you're going to mess up. What do you think? It's the x's. And I always, always, always want you to take the x's to the left. Always. Okay? So move your 5x over, it becomes a negative. So you have negative 7x plus 10 is less than or equal to negative 17. Do you see how clean that is? Guys, look at my work. There's no doubt what I'm doing. I can get tons of partial credit if I mess up because it's so easy to see what I've done. Okay? Shout out the next step. Tell me. Move your 10. Make sure you're not going ahead of me. Negative 7x is less than or equal to negative 27. Tell me what to do now. Divide by negative 7, right? And you get x is, what do I do? Flip or don't flip? Yes, flip. And then a negative over negative is a positive 27 over 7. Does 27 over 7 reduce? No. So leave it alone. Okay, do not turn it into a decimal. Okay, make your notch. 27 over 7. No, yes, we do have an equal sign, so it's closed. You tell me right or left. To the right. Okay, interval form is what they want. And that is 27 over 7 with a bracket to infinity with a parenthesis, and I'm done. Who says I got it? I'm good still. Yay. And you're going to keep being good. Okay, look at F. Looks kind of bad. Don't get all crazy. Just follow the steps. Tell me the first step.
Adding.
Move your 8. Yeah. So negative x is less than 8. What do I do now? Divide by a negative. So I get x's, reverse it or don't.
Reverse.
Yes, reverse it. And what's here? Negative 8. Easy. Number line. In the center you have a negative 8. My circle's going to be open because I don't have an equal sign. Right or left, everybody? Right is correct. Interval form is what they want, which is negative 8 with a parenthesis to infinity with a parenthesis. Done. Okay, question G. Now, this is called a, write this down for me, okay? This is called a complex inequality. Why is it called a complex inequality? Because you have two inequality symbols, okay? It's not that big of a deal. What I want right there, what do I want right in the center and I'm done? I want an x. So I have to get rid of the 2. Tell me out loud, how do I get rid of the 2? Divide by 2, but you have to do all regions by 2. Did I divide by a negative number? Tell me that. No, so I don't switch anything. So I have -1 is less than x is less than 2. Okay? Now, everybody look right here and I want to explain something to you. Okay? Sometimes when us teachers are teaching you things, we want to say something to you, but we're afraid to say it because then it's just too much information and your brain is just like, stop telling me things because now you're going to mess me up on what I just knew how to do. So everybody look right here because I feel like you're ready for this. Okay? I bet you haven't been told this before. If you did, I bet you forgot because it's a lot of stuff. Look, if I read this backwards, this means x is bigger than a -1 and x is less than 2. I'm going to say it again. This means x is bigger than a -1 and x is less than 2. Who knew that? Okay, some of you, that's good. Okay, draw your number line. The number line is super, super easy, guys. Look what you do. Do you see the number on the left? Put it on the left. See the number on the right? Put it on the right. Are my circles open or closed? Tell me, everybody.
Open.
They're open. Someone tell me where on that number line are the values bigger than a -1 and smaller than 2? Tell me.
In the middle.
In the middle. Yep. And if it's written that way, it's always in the middle. That's the beautiful thing. Okay, so everybody write interval form. Look at your number line. From left to right, it goes from a -1 with a parenthesis to a +2 with a parenthesis, and you're done. Okay? Okay, question H. What I want in the center is just an X. Don't do anything yet. Would this be wise? Divide everything by 2. No. Because you're either going to mess up and you won't divide the -1 by the 2, or if you do divide the -1 by the 2, you just made fractions, both of which are bad. Okay? So instead of doing that, everybody tell me what to do. Add 1. So everybody go +1, +1, +1. So now I have 1 is less than or equal to 2x is less than or equal to 5. In the center, I just want a 2. I just want an x. Tell me what to do. Divide by 2. And now, did I divide by a negative? No. So everybody go -1/2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 5/2. Do 1/2 or 5/2 reduce? Tell me that. Nope, so just leave it alone. Draw your number line. The 1/2 is on the left. The +5/2 is on the right. Open or closed, everybody? Closed. And tell me where to shade. Inside. Okay? Interval form is what they want. And I'm going to go 1/2 with a bracket to 5/2 with a bracket. And I'm done. Okay, question I. Everybody look at that, okay? I want the x to be alone. Everybody shout out the first step. Tell me. Add 2. It looks really bad. Don't get all freaked out. Just go add 2, add 2, add 2. This does get kind of ugly, so stay right with me, okay? Look, 2's cancel. So you have -18 is less than or equal to -4x is less than or equal to 17. Do you see why it gets bad? Can you see right now? Why? What are we going to do right now? Divide by a -4. So look what happens. -4, -4, -4. In the center, I have an x. Talk to me about the inequalities. They get what? You switch them. Then you just evaluate those other numbers. Negative over negative is a positive. 18/4 is 9/2. This over here is -17/4. Now everything's messed up. The reason it's messed up, if you have a complex inequality, I want your symbols to face that way, either less than, equal to, or less than, or great. You know, they gotta point to the left, and my symbols are pointing the other way. I'm looking the wrong direction. The other thing that's messed up is the little guy's supposed to be on the left, and I have the little guy on the right, who says, I see what's happening, I see the problem. Okay, so if you divide by a negative, I want you to take this step, switch them. So I want you to go negative 17 over 4 and 9 over 2. In the center you have an x. Okay, now I want to show something to you. Everybody look right here. This is correct, which means x is less than negative 9 halves, or less than 9 halves. So right here, that symbol has to be a less than. If I read this way, x is greater than negative 17 over 4, so you have to make it a greater than when you read it backwards. So long story short, the symbols reverse when you switch the order. Okay, so now it's nice and neat. Now it's like we need it to be. Okay, let's graph it. Number line, negative 17 fourths on the left, a positive 9 halves on the right. I do have equal signs, so those are closed. You guys, all you have to remember is if you've got your arrows pointed to the left like that, either less than, equal to, or less than, and the little guys on the left, it's always between. That's all you have to remember. So it's right there. So in interval form, it's negative 17 over fourths with a bracket to a positive 9 halves with a bracket, and we are done. Yes, sir?
On assignments and tests, do you have to show that middle step of flipping the interval to the less than or greater than?
Yes, I want to see this. I want to see that. Yeah, pretty much everything that's there, you got to see. I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours with Weber State, and I know exactly what they're going to expect of you. And what they expect of you is what I show you when I teach you. Okay? Okay, so Weber State loves to ask you these kind of questions. What's the difference between this and this? So my opinion is if they're asking you what's the difference, then let's solve them side by side and display the difference, okay? So everybody over here write down negative 3 times 2x minus 1 is less than 5x plus 4. And then maybe do a solid line. And then over here, it's the exact same thing, except there's an equal sign. Okay, now freeze for a second before we start doing this. I told you an inequality is just like an equal sign, except for one thing. What's the one thing? How is the one on the left different than the one on the right? It's one difference. Come on, tell me. It's not equal, obviously, but the process of solving it, there's one thing that's different. Freeze and don't do it yet. What's different? I'm trying to get you to figure it out before we do it. If you divide by a negative, you have to switch it. That's the only difference. They're identical besides that. Okay, let's do it. So let's do the equal sign because it's easier. Let's go negative 6x plus 3 equals 5x plus 4. Do I want you to move the 5 to the left first or the 3 to the right first? What do I want? 5 to the left. I'm really going to do them in the same line, but I'm going to move the x first. So the x comes over and the 5x comes over and becomes a negative. So I have a negative 11x equals 3 comes over and becomes a negative, and I get 1, and then I divide, and I get negative 1 over 11. Let's do it on the other side. Distribute the negative 3, and you get negative 6x plus 3 is less than 5x plus 4. I'm doing the same next step that I did on the right. 5x comes over and becomes a negative, so I have a negative 11x is less than 3 comes over also and becomes a negative, and it looks like that. Then I'm dividing by a negative 11, and I get x is, tell me guys, greater than negative 1 over 11. Okay, so what's the difference? I'm going to say I reversed the inequality because I divided by a negative. That's the difference. That's the only difference. Okay, last one. Is this point a solution to that system of inequalities? So there's lots of different ways you could do it. You could solve the top one for y, solve the bottom one for y, graph and double shade and see if the point lies in the region. That would do it. It's a lot of work. What else could you do?
Numbers,
Plug it in. 3 words. Plug it in. Yep. Here's your x. There's your y. Let's plug it right there. So you have x, which is a -2, minus 2 times y, which is 4, is greater than 4. You guys see the greater than 4? It's clean. It's done. Leave it alone. It's the left side that I'm going to mess with. So in my calculator, if I punch in -2 minus 2 times 4, I get -10. Is -10 bigger than 4? No. It's already failed, so the answer is no, and I'm done. Now I want to ask you a question. What if this happened? Look, don't change your notes, but what if it was positive 10 is greater than 4? Then that would be a true. So would the whole answer be yes and I'm done? What would I then have to do? Then I have to try that guy. It has to work for both of them for it to be correct. Who says I gotcha? Let's see. Okay, yay. Okay, you guys are awesome. So I told you it was really long, but easy. And that's for sure what happened, right? Okay, take out a blank piece of paper for me, please.